Thank you for joining us wherever you are. This podcast episode is brought to you by the Old Ways Actual Play team. This actual play uses the Cipher System rules by Monty Cook Games. This actual play is performed by adults and contains adult themes. We're happy to have you with us on this journey of cosmic wonder. All content, including names, places, events, companies, and etc., which may bear resemblance to entities living from the vast reaches of unknown space, are strictly coincidental. My name is Michael Diamond, and for tonight's game, I will be your game master. Thank you for joining us again on another episode of the Old Ways podcast. I am your game master this evening, Michael Diamond. My pronouns are he, him, and we are back with our Children of the Periphery series as we continue on our adventures into the unknown with Monty Cook Games' Cipher System. If you are newer to the show, I want to say thank you for listening. If you are part of our wonderful backer community who supports us on Patreon, I want to say an extra special thank you to you. If you'd like to join us there, you can. And that's at patreon.com/theoldwayspodcast. We are doing some new and inventive backer-only items for 2025, and don't miss out. And so, also, catch us over on YouTube and The Old Ways Twitch. So that is twitch.tv/TheOldWaysTwitch, where we occasionally get on camera and do very, very silly things for you, and sometimes very horrific things. But more on that later. So we're going to move to player introductions, which will begin to my right.
This is Morgan, and I play Captain Amara Kasra. Our pronouns are she, her, and I'm a brash explorer who learns quickly. So, yeah, I'm keeping my hands down at my side and not at my gun at this new person that we've been introduced to.
Indeed you are. And to Captain Kazra's right.
Hi, this is Rena. I play Tamarisk and Vari. Our pronouns are they, them. Tamarisk is an empathic speaker who commands mental powers, and I think we figured out a little bit about those mental powers last time.
Yes, you have a case of the itchy brain. And last but most certainly not least.
Hi, this is John. I'll be playing Fida, and we both use he, him pronouns. Fida is a mechanical explorer who talks to machines, which has been helpful, very helpful so far. And I wonder if a gun counts as a machine.
That's a good question. I think we should hopefully determine that in game, if it becomes necessary. So when last we left our characters, they were in sort of a tense, standoffish pose with a newcomer on the ship, one whom they're not really sure how they got there or who they are under all of that clothing and armor. But one thing remains true, which is they certainly seem to have a very large weapon if it becomes necessary. And after some, we'll just say follies and occasionally tying up the captain last episode, we have seemed to get to a negotiating point between Tamarisk, who's used an amazing power that they have to quickly and sort of rapidly understand different languages and speak them. So we'll open our scene back there in this hallway of the siege ship where the characters are still trying to determine the purpose of their visit.
So when the alien asks who destroyed the relay station, I just sort of slowly turn my head. Says, so which one of you was it?
Which one of us did what? Which one of us what? I don't know what you're talking about.
Destroyed the relay station?
I don't remember destroying a relay station. I just remember exploring and getting attacked by a large creature and tying it up. But I don't think we did. Did we destroy it? I'll go for it, Fida.
I mean, the only relay I could possibly think of would be the one from the third horizon. And he kind of squints. He's like, I don't think this guy's from there. And that was an accident, if anything, he says, having done it on purpose. But he's like, we didn't destroy anything in that station. We just, it wasn't a station. It's really just the top of a space elevator. Relay station is, I guess, accurate to what it was purpose was. But no, that wasn't us. That happened so long before we got here that I don't actually know. I don't know what the cycles in this system are. I can tell you that the number was big.
I'll look back at the alien. It wasn't us. Apparently it was like that when we got here.
You see it tilt its head a little bit. It sort of burbles up another series of words, and you hear it say, "We have been underground for some time. There was once a large facility near one of our habitats. It is gone. All of the above ground structures have been flattened or destroyed. Are you part of an invading force?"
No, it's just our ship. That's all. No one else is coming. We haven't been to your world yet. We haven't set foot on your planet. We had nothing to do with whatever destroyed your structures.
You watch its body language change a little bit. It seems to step out just a little bit more into the hallway. It doesn't appear frightened. It appears more like it's being defensive, like having been defensive, so it's easing a little bit of that. It says, "I had an awful difficult time getting to the relay station after the lift was destroyed." Do you know who destroyed the lift? Or why?
I look back at the other two. So you didn't destroy the lift either?
No, that was a couple of... And he's trying to remember the information from the computer. How long ago? Like, because I directly interfaced with that machine, so I'm like, that happened...
Probably a fairly considerable amount of time ago. I mean...
Over 100 years, I think.
Yeah, probably over 100 years.
He's just like, that would have happened generations ago for his people. Like, I mean, we just got here. Like, our ship isn't even... Big Periphery's barely even... Tell him to look at the damage. All of that stuff is old.
So I turn back to them, searching in my brain for the word engineer, can't come up with it because it's not one I've picked up from them yet. So my friend says it was a long time ago. If you look at it, you'll be able to see we couldn't have. We don't know why, we just got here.
It does not nod. It seems to incline part of its body towards you. You're not sure exactly what that means. It says, "I have a very tight remit, places that I'm allowed to go and things that I am allowed to do. For this scouting, I will need to return.
All right.
I hope that you are as peaceful as you appear."
Slight quirk of a smile. Oh, we don't like being shot at. We try not to do it to others.
It very carefully lifts up like part of its visor, and it doesn't come up like a hatch per se, but it when it lifts, it seems to fold itself back into the edges of this helmet. And you see a rather sort of sky or light blue toned skin. You see slightly deep set almond eyes, a thicker forehead, which trails up to a centralized sort of raised point on the center of its forehead that seems to wrap all the way back, at least a little bit that you can see, maybe not all the way back because you can't see the back of its head. One of the defining things that you immediately get are it does not have any facial hair. It does not have any eyebrows. It doesn't really even have, from what you can tell, eyelashes per se, but there are eyes there. And staring back at another pair of eyes reminds you of two fairly important things. Clearly, this being is intelligent, and their eyes are set in the front of their skull. And that means, by and large, they're likely a predatorial race, much like humans are. It has a very tiny mouth gap. It has a long blue, I guess nose would sort of be a stretch. Their nose is it has a long plane, but it does not extend far from the skull or the jaw area. You can't see if it has ears or not.
Take a second to take all that in, because even though I knew that they likely wouldn't look like us, it's still a shock. And put my hand over my heart. I am Tamarisk.
You see like the corner of its mouth sort of smirk. And when it smirks, you see a row of very sharp teeth. And it points at itself. And it says, Oni.
I point at the other two. It's Fida, Amara.
It nods. Again, like slightly with its head, more with its entire body. It was almost as if it's not a bow per se, but it's just it inclines a little bit towards you. And then without warning, it hoists the rifle and almost slings it into like a secondary or a side position and then pulls real hard on the strap across its body. And you watch the rifle sort of almost Velcro to its back. And the being pulls out a gloved hand from one of its, coat pockets. And there's some piece of almost something that looks like a ceramic wristband that it wears, and it holds it up. And when it holds it up, it points it at the intersection, like the wall intersection where the bulkheads come together. And when it does, you see an energy force splatter against the wall. And there's a huge, like, bioluminescent blue glow from this wall part. And you see, for just a second, you see space, like open space starfield. And it leaps through. Its helmet comes down and the visor comes down in a snap movement. And it propels itself into space.
Well, that was interesting. First communication?
I think first communication was that weird blast that knocked you out. But yeah, first civilized conversation for certain. I don't know how you did it, but, well done.
Did what? We were just talking.
You weren't speaking what we speak. You changed languages as you were like flipping switches, which was wild. Pretty weird to see.
One eyebrow practically recedes into the hairline. Oh, goodness. That's, I didn't know I was doing that. Oh, they were talking to me, and it took a few minutes, but I could figure out some patterns, and then I could understand, and I thought maybe we just could pick out words for each other, but apparently, oh dear. Suddenly nonplussed.
Oh, I thought that was just something weird from school, from whatever school you went to. He comes over and puts a hand on their shoulder. He's just like, I try not to think about when I do stuff like that. Just makes things weird. So that's my advice to you.
That's good advice. Thank you, Fida. I guess you're not the only one weird things are going to happen to now.
You hear Rakam's voice overhead. Okay, can anyone tell me what the heck that was? I got all of these weird energy readings down there. The sensors went off here on the bridge. It said that we had a hull breach.
Takes out the replacement communicator. He's just like, aliens with weird quantum stuff. You can make portals in walls.
So, what's the troop doing now that it knows potentially a wealth of different information?
Yeah, I slap my legs as I get up and... All right. Does that mean we gotta go to the surface?
I mean, we're going to have to go down eventually. We got to figure out the food situation. But, and Fida looks like, so he left the rope machine behind, right?
Certainly did.
He left his weird rope machine behind?
Yes, he left the rope machine behind. And if you'd like, I'm happy to give you that as a level 3 cipher.
Oh, I would be delighted to take it. Mostly because I'm like, well, I got to figure out what this thing is and how it works. Because I don't know how you fit this much rope inside this thing.
So the way this works is it has a cipher has a rating to it. So it's a rating 3 cipher.
Mm-hmm.
So anytime there are challenges with it or challenges to it, it's based on that rating. And then what I'll do is roll a d6 and determine how many uses it had left, which is 3. So it has essentially a limited number of charges. And then after that, well, it would go inert. Or if you had someone who had the ability to create ciphers, they might be able to reconstruct it into a usable model at a later date.
Yeah, I think the thing that Fight is most fascinated by with it is the mechanism by which it seems to be able to take the energy of the ropes being moved and turn that into tightening of them. Where he's like, okay, so the rope gets energy, and then that goes down here, and then, I'm not going to worry about it right now. I have bigger things. But yeah, he pries it out of the floor, and just like, well, it'll be interesting to tinker with of an evening. So yeah, I've got a rating 3 alien rope machine.
You do.
I can't wait to try and figure out how it works and not hurt myself in doing so. Right. So I'm going, and like Fighter just looks at that wall again. Hey, Mike, was this wall an internal wall or an external bulkhead?
Oh no, it was an internal wall.
Yeah, I thought it might have been. He just like looks at it and he's like, so it was just a coincidence last time that it was external. Tamarisk, would it be possible for you to give us a kind of a transcript of the conversation as best you can recall?
Yes,
Because we didn't understand, I'm going to be honest, we didn't understand the parts where you actually talked to each other.
Yes, I'm been trying to collate information in my very tired brain.
No, I understand. He's like, I don't want to be the guy that asks for documentation, but if he said something that can give us a clue as to who they were and where they're from and what they're doing, I'd appreciate it.
They said their name is Oni.
All right.
That their people live underground and have for a long time.
That's what the relay station. So, okay, planet side.
And they came up to the surface and found that all of their surface buildings had been destroyed.
Oh yeah, you're going to get that. So basically what happened was, as I mentioned, a couple of 100 plus years ago, they got attacked by somebody. I don't know who. The computer didn't know. It didn't give me an answer that I could understand. It gave me pictures of the ships, but I didn't. And he kind of makes a gesture that from talking to Fida means, what was I supposed to do with that? It's just like, so yeah, it happened so long ago, so who knows? I guess his people have been underground for centuries. And he's just like, so they're very technologically advanced, but they've been stuck down on the surface, possibly because of some hazard, I guess, from this invasion or battle or whatever happened, because the victors didn't stick around. And he's just like, I mean, we don't know if this is their home planet or if this was like an outpost. I mean, it looks like an outpost inside in that place, it looks like a processing center.
Well, they didn't give me that particular information, just that they'd been living below the surface for a while, and also that they, what was it exactly they said? Hope we were as peaceful as we look?
Promising. Off to a good start. Probably a good thing that it was just the three of us.
And not Cordelia?
He's like, Cordelia's a very nice person, but even just based on appearances, she is obviously wearing armor. Yeah, probably wouldn't have been the same level of chill. All right. I mean, the weird thing is that he just threw some sugar crystals at a wall and then walked into space, and we didn't lose any atmosphere. Well, we did lose some atmosphere. The ship detected a hull breach, but not enough for us to get pulled out with him. So Fight is just like, what the fuck was that? He's still just processing it in his own little way. He's just like,
I'm assuming that they will be in contact at some point, since we're up here. They mentioned something about having a limited remit, so they may send someone who's more empowered to have negotiations, whatever that might be, with us, or to learn more. Obviously, we need to try to negotiate a way down to the planet so we can restock up on things, but we're not going to just go land on the planet without permission, because someone else already lives there, and now we know that they still live there. I think it would also be helpful in this case, slow eye contact, to remember we are the aliens in this situation.
not necessarily. Well, they could also be aliens. I mean, they had space travel. So, I mean, this could be like a colony. That whole population down there could be in an emergency mine bunker or something. They could be non-native to here too.
We're still the aliens because of how far away we've come.
Okay, but we also have a population that we need to feed.
It's true.
So, I don't care.
I'm just saying we need to be careful in how we approach things.
Well, look, the simple fact of the matter is that they can teleport onto a spaceship. So, if one of them can do it, it's fairly safe to assume multiple of them can do it. Hopefully, they're not just sending someone with the right paperwork or clearance levels. It'll be interesting.
Captain, you hear Burkham's voice cut in. You might want to get up here to the bridge.
Okay. I look over at Tamara as I'm going towards the bridge. Did they give you any way to contact them?
Nope, but I'm coming with you.
That's a good idea. All right, we're coming.
Okay. You get up to the bridge, and just as you enter the bridge, you see on the view screen a beautiful display, right? So there's the planet itself, a mostly beautiful blue and green marble against the backdrop of space. You can see the relay station relatively nearby, and you see a streak of light going from the relay station area back down towards the planet in a arc. Looks like a jet engine afterburner or some type of propulsion. Wakam says, I wasn't able to get a great view of what that ship was, but it does look like it is mostly like a pencil. Pretty simple rocket. I don't know if it would have had any sort of weapons on it, but whoever visited us in the ship, maybe they didn't come directly from the planet. Maybe they hopped to the relay station and then used whatever technology they had to portal into the ship.
That would make sense, especially if it was they had limited range, and although how they're going to get back, I don't know. He's just like, not the immediate problem.
Yeah, love to get my hands on that technology.
I mean, it'd be really useful.
It would be really useful. So, next steps? I know you said we shouldn't go down to the planet uninvited, but it doesn't seem like they didn't offer a way to communicate. I really don't want people randomly coming on the ship.
And it sounds like they're underground, which would indicate to me that they're in one area of a pretty big planet. And he just kind of shrugs. He's like, I mean, look at the size of it. If they're underground, they're limited to maybe one continent. Say all their buildings were destroyed, so they haven't done any rebuilding, which means that either they've devoted themselves to living underground, and he's like, I mean, they were down there for generations, so maybe some of them think he's just like, I mean, there's so many possibilities. We're just guessing, right? Like, that's all we're doing.
Guessing is the best we can do.
Well, no, it's not. We can make logical deductions based on what we've seen and what's been said. So as I said, we know that they live underground, which means that we should be okay to land somewhere. I don't know if we can land the periphery itself, but we can shuttle stuff down and set up a small agriculture center or something. I mean, that's a possibility. Their space elevator's broken, and has been for some time. So I don't know if we want to try and fix that. Maybe assign a goodwill or something that we just try and work around. I mean, it's marked out a Lagrange point for us, so at least we know that.
Do you think it's something you could fix?
It would be a concentrated construction effort. And it would be... I could see benefit to us, but at the same time, we'd have to clear out... And he turns to Ara, and he's just like, we'd have to clear out all those animals on that station, or at least figure out how to hunt them. And he turns back to Tamara. He's like, oh yeah, I didn't take any pictures, but the station has viable breeding populations of strange small rabbit creatures that bounce like giant mice in a cartoon, and some kind of strange reptile predators. And it seems to have viable breeding populations of both. Oh, and Amara's mom was there.
What?
But not yesterday.
Yeah, we're not sure when. Maybe she's down on the planet. I don't know. One, unless you want to spend the rest of your life helping them rebuild the space elevator, because that's probably what it would take.
We never figured out how to build one, so I mean, I'd have to spend a lifetime figuring out how to fix one first. So I mean, he kind of just shrugs.
It's a great idea, loving the energy that's coming from you, Vida. All right, we do need to go down to the planet. I know you said we shouldn't go uninvited. We shouldn't go without Cordelia, who's still napping through all this excitement.
No alarms went off, no klaxons. I can understand sleeping.
Then I suggest we go small group. We don't even know what's down there. We don't know if there's pollutants, what it is that's keeping them underground. We don't want to do anything for setting up for water supplies or anything until we know. But if we have to go down to the planet, we should maybe go in our periphery.
Oh yeah, well I don't think this one could go down and get back out. For one thing, I don't know if this thing's capable of atmospheric entry. He kind of like looks at the walls, considers that it's only like less than 20% of the total of nadir, and he's just like, I don't think this part's made for that.
No, but I've been looking into something, and I thought maybe this would be a good time to bring it up. I think this ship transforms.
How's that now?
Well, check out the wire diagram here. It sort of brings it up on the view screen. There's no holo emitters in here, so Racom can't physically appear.
Yeah, it's talking to me through screens.
It talks to you through screens. You see the top of this vessel, which clearly is where the bridge is, which he points out. But he takes a sort of straight-on view of it, and you see that the top portion of it, sort of the crown of the ship, does seem to have some sort of, well, it has almost like a gear-like overlay, as if it's in the shape of something which could be removed. And he says, I wonder if, when it was still originally whole, if when the colony ship got there, they would have done the same thing to this as they did to, well, the ship that became Coriolis Station.
I mean, yeah, it would be the logical thing to do, because what would you do with a giant colony ship once you got to where you needed to be? It would make sense to turn it into a central hub, and he's just like, I mean, maybe it's because I grew up in Coriolis and we were always told about it was the only logical thing to do. But, I mean, yeah, it's not like you're going to use that ship again.
So I agree with you, Fida. I don't think this ship is meant to be anywhere near the atmosphere. Just from an aerodynamic sense, the ship doesn't have the landing gear to land anywhere.
Fida's just thinking, he's like, it's a big ball. Aerodynamics are not part of the equation.
Right.
Yeah, he's just like, look, I mean, however we're going to do this, we're going to need to figure out waking people up eventually, and what order we're going to wake them up in.
And how many?
Yeah, and it's going to be waves. I mean, it's got to be, right?
Well, and at what point do the people who are already awake then become a tipping point?
Yeah.
Because if Cordelia is any sort of, well, taste test of what the rest of them might react like, there isn't anybody here that should be quote unquote in charge. It's going to be pretty critical for Cordelia to play the role of colonel, or whatever her rank is, lieutenant colonel.
I think that's right. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. So she's going to have to be mindful about who she wakes up, because if she ends up popping somebody out that is a few ranks higher than her, everything changes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, somebody from the original crew with an actual title of authority. And he turns to Amar. He's like, I mean, you'd still be my captain, I think, but I don't know how we'd integrate with them. I think Cordelia has... He kind of pauses. He's like, look, I mention stuff out of hand and Cordelia finds it weird, but the rest of them are going to find it just as strange and might not be as quick on the, oh, okay, as she is. I don't know that there's a good way to go about balancing our people's lives versus the scenario we find ourselves in, but I think maybe we can find the best one. The least bad, the most even-handed might be the best we can do. I don't know. It does strike me that we do have a computer with a list of all the people on board and what their rank and skill is, and that if we woke up, and he's kind of like, if we just woke up the people who can get things done and didn't wake up their officers or their leaders that they signed up to leave with, that might get uncomfortable. He just shrugs. He's like, I think it could get awkward.
I think we should sort out this current situation before we even think about waking up anybody else.
You're right.
We don't want to bring a new element into an unstable situation to begin with.
We need to figure out the food thing first, if nothing else. I mean, the ship's atmosphere settings can go for long enough that we don't need to worry. But I don't know about some of the other systems. They're, things that I was never trained on that predate me. So, look, you're right, Tamaris. There's something you mentioned that we don't know what the surface of the planet is like. As you said, we don't know if it's polluted or there's some kind of... Are we going to go down there and find warheads? Are we going to go down there and find washed out ruins? It looks from up here to be pretty undeveloped, but the previous expedition did go down there and did do some mining by the looks of things. But what they were looking for, I don't know.
All right, so what's next steps? We're doing a lot of talking, and I know we need to...
We need to go down.
And I appreciate all the thought process, but yeah, we need to go down. Did somebody say the ship can shapeshift?
Captain, were you not paying attention?
I think we might have gotten too into the nitty-gritty.
I just need the bullet points.
I think just my opinion is the ship is not meant for atmosphere. It likely has some ability to transform maybe into a platform or an orbital station, maybe in the, a satellite for landing ships. I don't know what its original purpose was meant. We could likely learn a lot more by waking people up who know what this thing is supposed to be doing. That being said, we've been visited by someone from the planet. And in the next however long, all of Oni's friends and family or cell or extended family are going to know that there are aliens in space. We were very lucky that Tamaris was able to bridge the gap between what we needed to have them understand and what they need to understand from us. We also have to understand that that may not be the only way and the only opinion that is shared down there. And so I agree that making our way down planet side is probably the best bet. I mean, the stuff on the station, the relay station, is not going anywhere.
Yeah, that's fairly stable.
I agree with all that. Okay, well, thank you for the recap, Rakam, and I agree with all your statements. We should not wake anybody up. That could be very bad, because we're not a part of their original mission, and we were lucky that Cordelia didn't shoot us on sight. And secondly, Oni and their friends could be up here any second. And they have those sweet portal machines that can open up sides of ships, and we don't. So, and apparently our alarms don't go off when that happens. Rakam?
There are no sensors on the outside of this, frankly, ancient egg to sense for any of that. Had they tried to penetrate directly into our periphery, I would have known immediately.
Okay, well, I'm still blaming you. We're going to go down to the planet.
Okay, I'll get the periphery ready.
We need spacesuits. We'll need survival gear.
Yeah, make sure that you all get water and food and everything else, because, you get hungry.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we'll say that the crew takes an hour or so. You gather suits. You gather a certain amount of water. You gather a certain amount of food. I would love to know, and for no reason at all, not to be specific at all, but could you please tell me how much food and water you're bringing? Tell the whole class how much you're bringing.
I think FIDA wouldn't want to leave without less than 2 weeks worth. Just based on the idea that we might be down there for a few days, to observe local conditions, see, get maybe a week-long reading based on our calendar, and try and figure some stuff out. And he kind of doesn't want the possibility of being stuck down there and starving, because again, cannibal planet, traumatizing memories, stuff like that.
I don't know what you're talking about.
No, I just have a notion. Also, food is good for barter.
Oh yeah, yep. Okay, you pile in to the periphery and prepare to get launched, as they say. And in the interest of having all of us on the same ship and in the same episode, I will close our episode there. The crew prepares to leave, but I will offer them one piece to think on before we leave. And that is, if an alien race was subterranean and had come back up to the surface, it means that they're hunting for something. The question is what? So we will see you all next time. Thank you and good night.